I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
And he was basically saying there's no guarantee to free speech on hate speech or misinformation. So, okay, that's dangerous. This guy said this. Okay, so this is America. What's the First Amendment? Is that it? Free speech. The Second Amendment's the gun? I don't know. Let's just look up the amendments. What are the amendments? What are the amendments? The First Amendment is the First Amendment, respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting free exercise of religion, free speech, free press, free assembly. Okay, a lot of frees. He says there shouldn't be free speech on something that is misinformation or hate speech. All right, let's be really simple here, okay? We all know what Big Pharma did. We all know what people were saying pro, and we all know what people were saying against. Anyone who went against it was considered misinformation when there's been numerous studies and numerous things. So that's null and void right there, but let's go simpler. Are you ready? Misinformation. Okay. If I was a man, okay, and let's say there's a man and he's 6'4", and he's wearing a Jill Sander sundress, and he's got an Hermes bag, and he's got a pair of Louboutins, and he lifts up his skirt, and he's got an 11-inch hog, okay, beautiful hog, 11-inch, semi, not even hard, okay, and he said, I'm a woman, and someone said, no, you're not. Which is misinformation? Technically, I'm being technical now, because if he said, I feel like a woman, I want to be a woman, I know I got the parts that stereotypically are a man, but I'm going to become a woman. Whether I get this taken off or not, I don't know. And if he said, I'm going to live my life that way, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to tape it back and never got any surgery. By the way, that's his choice. But would it be misinformation to say you have an 11-inch dong? Because he feels that he's one way. I'm not saying he's not going to live his life like that. And I'm not saying he has to be so extreme as to remove that organ. I don't think he should. But he has to do what he wants to do. But technically, medically, that would not be misinformation. That would be what we were all raised. A dong, let alone an 11-inch dong, is male. That's it. It's okay. There's a lot of different things now, but that's how we were, and that's what it's medically diagnosed as. So then, on top of that, me just bringing that up right now, and me pushing back on this belief system, and me not just accepting that if this person said, hey, I'm a woman, and I said, you identify, you look like you're going in that direction, but you still have an 11-inch dong. And if they said, no, I'm a woman, right now, by me saying this right now, as we're here, this could be considered hate speech. And that is the psychoses of which we are dealing with, right? So that is not hate speech, and that is not misinformation. Do I want this person to live their best lives? Of course. Should they be able to? Of course. Am I allowed to say those things? I should be able to, without judging. I don't want to be an asshole. If someone's unhappy in their carriage, they should adjust it however they want. It's their body, their choice, literally. But it doesn't mean that we can't gauge it against something we were raised with and then say, well, it was this. It might be different now, but it was this. And just deem that misinformation and hate speech. So what he's saying is, you know, there was no bad voting machines, which consider, if there's one bad voting machine, you can consider the election being partially tampered with, which people could then lead to saying stolen. I'm not saying it was, but you could say that. Well, if you said that, that's misinformation. But if there's one faulty voting machine, The mainstream media tonight will tell you that Kamala's ahead. Well, Mark Cuban just did a poll and Trump won 69-31 on Mark Cuban, who's a liberal. I think he's a liberal. So what I'm trying to say is the free speech shit and the hate speech shit and the misinformation shit, you got to stop those words. I'm scared to say certain things, but you know what hate speech is. Just no irony, ugliness towards another fellow human being. As simple as you look fat to much deeper and darker things. Okay. I can understand what hate speech is. I think we all know what hate speech is. But if you said someone's pleasantly plump, that's not hate speech. Okay? So I guess we all have to have a universal line of where we're at. People can say, hey, Jamie, you're going bald in the back of your head. And I could say, that's hair hate. Or I could just say, why do you hate me so much? Like, I mean, I cannot deny that. What if they called me I was wearing a scalp yarmulke? Is that hate speech or is that true? You know, is saying someone is a dirty, that would be hate speech. But saying, oh, that's a half a hat. Half a hat is what dudes in Philly used to call, because they would only wear a half a hat. It was this part with no brim. Now, can I put that out? It's funny, right? Saying one thing is not funny. Half a hat is funny. Is that hate speech? Where are we at here? You know what I mean? I could go down the rabbit hole here. Is lesbian bad? Leslie's? You can't say Leslie's anymore, but can you say a couple of doorbell ringers? Because that's what the top part of the vagine looks like, and they poke at it. All right. I'm losing you. But what I'm trying to say is hate speech shouldn't be tolerated, but you have to decide what hate speech is. And unless we have the grand marshal of hate speech and we all have to agree on what the word is, I think we all can agree that the N-word ain't good, even though it's said every minute, every second of every day by so many people. Literally by you know, black people say it. They say it's their word. Whitey better not say that. Whitey's made mistakes. There's a lot of blonde girls right now on TikTok that said it, that are going down, but apparently trying to save a brand deal. I think we could say that is hate speech. I think we could say F word towards our gay brethren is hate speech. But that used to be, you know, there's a lot of gay guys that say it and say they're not going to give that word up. You know, I think words towards our brethren are hate speech. You know, words I'm not going to say them. There's nothing really hateful you can say about a white guy, so call it a cracker. But, you know, it's funny. Cracker, saltine, I'm a cracker. You cracker. So look, there's a lot of videos of Kamala and him. Let me just say this about this, and I guess because I'm going to run out of tape here, is that, have you been to Minnesota recently? Downtown Minnesota is becoming like every other city in the sense where there's a ton of for lease places and super high-end technological buildings. So they give you these velvet prisons. You will own nothing and be happy, you know that saying. And it's happening everywhere. And Minnesota's no different, where it's the NWO, and that's what it is. And they're revamping it. And there's a lot of amazing places to eat. There's a lot of amazing buildings. There's great sports. But we all know what happened there in 2020. And you know what happened to me last year when I did my show there. And I was not only kicked out of a hotel after a show, I was not only just not talked to, I was kicked out. And not only that, the cops were called on me. Minnesota, parts of it are an absolute shithole. And I have no problem saying that. There's a lot of great actors that come from there. There's a lot of funny ass people that come from there. You know who they are. And I love them. But in private, I'd really like to ask them what they think. I'm sure they're not going to say it publicly. But Minnesota is a psycho den. Okay? Let's be real. The place, the cops are scared to do anything because of 2020. And anybody who remotely pushes back on any group that might be tiniest of considered oppressed, you are the devil, the villain, everything. So that whole night that happened to me, yeah, I was emotional. Yeah, I was probably out of line. I didn't say, do you know who I am? I never would say that my whole life. I wouldn't say any of that. There was Taylor Swift's dick, like but not me. Oh, because she's bigger. I get it. But you obviously suck celebrity dick. Just I wasn't the big enough celebrity for you. So I know they play the game. But the point is, everyone that threw me out of that hotel, I saw a couple people with, I love nose rings. Shit, I'll even give you an eyebrow ring. But it's that ring that goes from here to here. You know what that ring is. That ring is, mommy and daddy didn't understand me. And that's a lash out ring. Mommy and daddy, look at me. I'm a bull. I'm toro. The bull. I'm a bull. You can get a nose ring. It's so cute. You get tattoos. It could be cute. Although they're not healthy for you. But if you're sticker booking it up and you got that middle ring, that's mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy weren't there. No, there's nothing. That middle thing, it's the same shit you see when you see a real estate agent. And you see, look, do you think they're all classy, right? You see like a female real estate agent. She's got it all together. Her manicures and eyebrow blades and all this shit. And you go, oh my God, this is like a super professional woman. And then you catch her with that dirty ankle tattoo. Just hidden just enough. When you see an ankle tattoo on a real estate agent, you know she spent some time on the pole. And I'm talking about the brass one. Yeah. That ankle tattoo is what's up, baby. You know what's up. And if I'm a real estate agent, two things. If I wanted to be taken seriously, I would have put a stocking over that. Or it's a signal to be like, you want to close the deal? That's how we close. By the way, you think I'm joking, go to Miami, you hear this shit. They close the deal no matter how they need to close the deal. That is a rumor. So maybe, because think about where the placement is on the tattoo, the ankle, where the ankle goes during certain times of the night. Would you see that? You understand what I'm saying? So if you got a ankle tattoo and you're a real estate agent, I will negotiate your points down so quickly because I know you're going to be a hustler, but I already know your past. Okay? I know it. Just like if you see a girl with the dumb Asian letters, you already know they're broken hippie. I can tell you all. But this, Ring of Toro, you know the drill. Or the girl with the weird tattoo right here with a little bit of words like, I'm going to take a chance, but I'm not going to let too many people see it. It's all these games you see. Or the dude with the too many sticker books, you know, and it's not really a sleeve properly. So that night when I was thrown out, to me was that was the representation of Minnesota. And a stand-up comedian who did 2 sold-out shows in a suburb and did meet and greets, and people that came to the show, and some people that were part of the community, and you know, from ambulance drivers to police to just people that wanted to see a show. And for me, having a post-show, a little bit of a meltdown, not terrible, but just a little emo, and just the fact that they let a guy with keys with no social awareness and just a by-the-book veteran lifer of that, and how they all took his side and no one said, all right, it's Jamie Kennedy, he's a little psycho right now, he did the shows. Jamie, it's not our policy. Sorry, dude. But to call the cops on me, okay, and then for the cops, and the cops goes, we're not going to hear it, get out. And I'm like, but you can't. And the cop knew me because he was looking at me, and I know the look, and I'm like, but can I just tell you? He goes, no, I'm not listening to you, get out. When that happened, I'm like, you can take that city, good luck. Good luck, because I've done way worse in Vegas, and guess what? They're there. You don't think I get a talking to? Shit. The shit I did in Vegas one time, I wasn't totally wrong, but the LVPD said, Jamie, it's going to go down this way or this way. And I said, what do I got to do? And he goes, do this, go over there and do this, swallow your pride and shut up and do this. I don't want to do the paperwork and you don't want to spend the night. And I said, okay. And the cop pulled me aside and was cool. And we figured it out, and I went and did what I had to do to not piss off this person. Cop was cool. They didn't kick me out. The Cosmo was like, dude, we love you here, but you're being a psycho. Like, chill out. You're not going to be able to come here anymore. Like, we talked about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus, give me a break, you know? You know, if you're on a set, they're like, hey, man, chill the out. You know, this director's getting annoyed with you, dude. It's not... There's no cold. Minnesota acted like they don't know how to deal with people, especially in a hotel. That's what you do. Like, so I got that vibe from that whole city because I was around. They are like, let's listen to all the psychos. Let's not use rationality or reason here. And I've talked to a lot of people from Minnesota, and they're like, yeah, it's gone down the shitter. So what I'm trying to say is that guy who's talking about this is Kamal's first pick. And, yeah. Do I want America to be like Minnesota? No way. No way. So no. And just because I'm not saying I want to vote that way doesn't mean I'm voting the other way. I'm feeling it out. But clearly, I lean more to the right than the left, even though I believe I'm still an independent centrist.